Good morning. Welcome to my lecture on the topic Criticism of Shakespeare's Plays. So this lecture is taken from the unit Shakespearean Criticism in the course Shakespeare Studies. In this lecture, the topics that are going to be discussed by me are Shakespearean early comedies, Shakespearean comedies, Shakespearean tragedies, vocabulary of Shakespeare, most famous Shakespearean quotations, and the tradition of Shakespearean criticism. So, moving on to the first topic, the objectives of this lecture are to list out some of the significant plays, some of the plays which will be relevant for a first year postgraduate student of English literature. And the next objective is to categorize the plays of Shakespeare into 4 types for a comprehensive understanding of a postgraduate student, and to develop a deep knowledge about Shakespearean plays and to learn the themes in Shakespearean plays. So, to start with, these are the early plays of Shakespeare. So, the plays which had been written by him in the very beginning of his dramatic career. So, the first play is the Comedy of Errors. So, as I explain the early comedies, I would like to point out a significant aspect of each of these plays. So, the first comedy which was written by Shakespeare in his early career stage was the Comedy of Errors. So, it is the shortest Shakespearean play. It has only 424 lines. The second play is, the second early comedy is The Taming of the Shrew. The Taming of the Shrew is known for its philosophical discussion of a philosophical exposition or explanation of husband and wife with the background of the philosophy of universe. Then the next play is The Two Gentlemen of Verona. The Two Gentlemen of Verona, which is again an early comedy, where I quote, "It is complete in feature and mind, with all good grace to grace a gentleman." So, it is a play in which the plot is split between the two protagonist characters, two major characters, and one is believed to be, or one presents himself as a graceful gentleman, whereas the other is a changeable foil. And the next early comedy is Love's Labour's Lost. So, Love's Labour's Lost is a comedy of courtship and social type. So, it explicates the social conventions which were prevalent during the Shakespearean age, during the Elizabethan age. Some of the common characteristics of the early comedies of Shakespeare are as follows. Many of them, almost 3 of the early comedies of Shakespeare are inspired from John Lyly's plays, and they are focused on the domestic errors and social solidarity. They are focused on the domestic errors and social, the domestic errors arising out of the foibles of the characters and the advertent or the essential social solidarity which is required and arrived at during the course of the play. And another characteristic feature of the early comedies are the controversies between the patriarchs and the anti-patriarchs. So, one who stand by the nation in times of trouble, and one who back out, or one who have another opinion or another stand point of view about an issue. So these are the characteristic features of early comedies of Shakespeare. Now moving on to the next point, the next topic in my lecture is the mature comedies or the popular comedies of Shakespeare. So they can be listed as follows: The Merchant of Venice, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, The Merry Wives of Windsor. Now, a significant point which postgraduate student should understand about these comedies can be given as follows. So, The Merchant of Venice is believed to be culled out, believed to be carved out from a collection of sermon. And Much Ado About Nothing is a tale of, it is a sentimental tale in which the king and his daughter are plotted out by a lord, the Claudio the villain, who tries to bring a darkness, penumbra over the king's face and the kingdom, but fails in his effort to pull down the king. As You Like It is known for its songs and its imagery, and it is the oft-quoted line from As You Like It is, "Whoever loved that loved most at first sight." Twelfth Night, it was a play which was performed on the night of Epiphany for the first time. So it is a play of twists and comic turn of the plot. And it is it is known for its intelligent heroine who comes in time to save the hero. Moving on to some of the common characteristic features of the mature comedies. So it is analyzed, or it is categorized, not even though as a it cannot be categorized completely as derived from university wits. They bear the influence of university wits, as most of them are based upon Italian stories. Most of them are based upon Italian plots and mythology. So it is known for its takeoff from the university wits. Then, specifically, The Merchant of Venice is found to be known for its plot, specifically the crisis moment in which the bond or pound of flesh is borrowed from Oriental folktale. So it is centered around the scene of crisis in which the major characters fight over a bond or a pound of flesh. The city of Venice, when it's looked through the eyes of Shylock, it provides to the onlooker, it proves to be an icon in which most of its members or most of its people are given into a state of money-mindedness. So moving on to As You Like It. So as a pastoral comedy, As You Like It has scenes and songs through the orchards and the meadows of the king's court, and a part of the play occurs in the woods. The major characters, they fight for or they vie for the love of the king. As young girls, they try to get the love of their father and move away just like that in a spell, and the plot unravels and it ends in how they move and come back to their father at the end of the play. And it's known for its songs which are sung by Jack. The most famous, the oft-quoted song, "All the World's a Stage." Moving on to the next next topic in my lecture is the tragedies. So tragedies can be divided into two types. the historical tragedies, tragedies which are based upon history and which has been given a fantastic fantasized twist, and the four great tragedies. So, let us have a look at these tragedies one after another at the most significant point of them from the perspective of a postgraduate syllabus. So, the first one is Titus Andronicus. It is a Roman tragedy. It is believed to be from a Roman mythology, not specifically from Plutarch's Lives. Plutarch's Lives have been a support of, Plutarch's Lives have been a collection of, or it has been a source of inspiration for many of Shakespeare's Roman plays, with exception of Titus Andronicus. Then Romeo and Juliet, which is an adaptation based on an historical event, quarrel and a misgiving between the two great families in Italy, revolving around the plot of adolescent love, or one who tries to, the characters trying to epitomize their adolescent love, and in the process losing their in the course losing their lives and ending up at the fight of the great families of Italy. The next tragedy is Othello. So, Othello, I quote, is not primarily the image of life but an illusion and a greater emotional effect. So, it is the tragedy of a Moor who is known for his bravery but loses himself in his suspicion. And the next tragedy is King Lear. So, King Lear expresses the Elizabethan theology, I quote, in the order of the universe. So, it is an expression, or it is an arrangement, it is a dramatic expression of the Elizabethan theology which can be found in the universe. So, coming to the plot of the play, it is a story in which the old king is cheated by his three daughters while partitioning their property, and how these three daughters pay their love towards their father, or how they leave him in the lurch. So, that is a plot, that is the outline of the plot of King Lear, and it expresses the Elizabethan theology, that is the background, or the meta story, or the religious background of the play, which is, though it is not explicitly told, nowhere it is mentioned in the play about the religious order, the Elizabethan theology is not directly mentioned, but it is the criticism of this play has evolved into the stage. It expresses the Elizabethan theology in the order of universe. So, it is known for its, the play is known for its, the background of Elizabethan theology. And Macbeth is a play of, moving on to the next play, Macbeth. Macbeth is a play of ambition and dark terror, where Macbeth, a lord trying to bring down and kill the king of Scotland, Duncan, and trying to establish himself as a king, along with his queen, Lady Macbeth. So, what ensues is a tale of dark terror, where Macbeth cannot overcome the trauma or the psychiatric state he and Lady Macbeth is pushed into, and it ends in loss of lives, and all because of his dark ambition to pull down the king. Now, some of the significant characteristic features which students should know about Shakespearean tragedy is, so it is a Greek tragedy I mean, most of Shakespeare's tragedies are based upon Greek tragedy and medieval religious performance. So it is based upon the medieval. It is not only from the Greek mythology, but also based upon the medieval, the so-called medieval dance of death on the other. So the medieval darkness, the medieval negativity, or the medieval pessimism, which evolved during the during the invasion of the Normans. So it is a combination of Greek mythology and the mythology around death, which was evolved during the course of 12th to 14th centuries. It is so most of the Greek tragedies are derived from Plutarch's Lives, a collection of most famous Greek men, Greek kings and philosophers. So it is an important inspiration for the Greek, important inspiration for the great tragedies of Shakespeare. So another common feature which can be found across all the Shakespearean tragedies is the tragic relief or the comic relief, where the reader or the viewer is introduced to a play, a break in which he or she moves away from the plot to have a relief of a comedy, or a move into a subplot, a soliloquy by a character, or an utterance by a court jester, or a dialogue from aside. So these are some of the techniques which were used in all of the Shakespearean tragedies as a method of comic relief or a tragic relief. Now the next kind of play is tragicomedy. Okay, tragicomedy, which is otherwise called as dramatic romance. So a dramatic romance or a tragicomedy can be defined as a play in which there are both tragic and comic elements, but the play has a happy ending. So the clearly known or the plays which are categorized as tragicomedies are The Winter's Tale, Cymbeline, and The Tempest. Now the next topic is some of the characteristic features of the tragic heroes. Shakespeare's tragic heroes are identified by what is called as hamartia, or the fatal flaw. So there are some, it is based upon the Aristotelian definition of a tragic hero, whose Aristotle defines a tragic hero as a man who is of great character, of great birth, of greatness, one who has found only success except for a fatal flaw or a hamartia in himself. So he falls, he comes across, or he is put down by this particular fatal flaw or a hamartia. Otherwise, what would have been a happy life or a great life for him? So a fatal flaw is defined according to Aristotelian term as hamartia, which is the one negative trait in a tragic hero which brings down all that he has been building so far. So now taking the tragic heroes of the four great tragedies. So Hamlet, his fatal flaw was procrastination. So in his he wants to kill, he wants to take revenge, or he wants to put down his uncle, but he procrastinates it. He does not decide about when to do and how to bring him down. And Macbeth, his hamartia or his fatal flaw is ambition. So, a dark ambition of bringing the king down, a dark ambition of bringing him down, going beyond what is due for him, going beyond what is exact for him, and trying to bring him down. So, this dark ambition puts an end to what he had earlier established, what he had earlier protected for himself, what he had already, what he was already known for. Then King Lear, his fatal flaw or his tragic flaw was his gullibility or his belief or his easiness with his daughters and his courtesans. So he is not firm and he is not, he is so kind, he is too kind to be a king. So Othello, his fatal flaw was suspicion, or which is otherwise known in Shakespearean vocabulary as jealousy. He is so jealous of his wife that he could not bear to hear her side of what went on or what happened between him and between Desdemona and Iago. So he's so in a fit of jealousy, in a fit of anger and suspicion, he puts down Desdemona's life. So that becomes his fatal flaw. Now the next topic or the next feature of the Shakespearean tragedies and most of the conventional plays of Shakespeare are the three unities of time, place and action. So again it is according to the definition given by Aristotle. So it is the Aristotelian definition of three unities of time, place and action. So in which he defines the unity of time as the action in a play which can be completed within 24 hours of time. The plot of the play should be made up of scenes which can be realistically or which can be really completed within a 24 hours of time, within a duration of 24 hours of time. So that is followed in Hamlet, Othello and Macbeth. Whereas Tempest and Cymbeline and King Lear, they differ from the three unities of time. They don't adhere to the three unities of time, whereas the plot moves forward many years after, and the plot moves to and fro within a day. So they don't follow the three unities of time. Then unity of place, unity of action. So unity of place, in which Hamlet, the unity of place refers to the action, refers to the need or the requirement that the action in the play should be finished, should occur in a place which can be travelled or which can be practically travelled within a duration of 24 hours. And unity of action refers to the plot, the action in the plot in which there is no combination of tragedy and comedy. The action in the plot should either be completely comic or it should be completely tragic. There should not be a combination of both. There should not be intrusion of, or there should not be an ungrammarly combination of tragic and comic elements. Now, the most often quoted Shakespearean heroes which a postgraduate student should know are as follows: Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, King Henry IV, King Henry V, King Henry VI and Richard II. Now the next topic of this lecture is Shakespearean vocabulary. So it is the plays which had been written by the plays of Shakespeare, which run up to a number of 37. So it is known for, Shakespearean drama is known for the invention of or the creation of new words which had been formed, which had been in the making for over a century following Renaissance. So he has written about 15,000 words, and that is critically acclaimed. Number is 15,000 words. That is a critically acclaimed number. Now, I quote about Shakespearean vocabulary. His contribution to our phraseology. So the word our here refers to the language of English. So his contribution to our phraseology is 10 times greater than that of any writer in any language in the history of the world. So taking into consideration the number of words that he the number of words that he that he poured into the usage of the commoners through his drama. It is 10 times greater than any other writer in any other language of the world. And he was known to be a very great word collector, and he had a lifelong and insatiable desire of collecting words. So, which he improvised, the words which he utilized, the words which he, the words which he derived from, the words which he derived from the Greek and Latin conventions, the words which he derived from the usage of the commoners. He opened it up, or he exposed it for the common use of the public. So he enjoyed making words, collecting words, and putting it for the use of the commoners. So some of the stylizations of Shakespearean vocabulary are as follows, which were deliberately stylized by Shakespeare to serve the purpose of the dialogue. Some of them were retained to the present vocabulary, but many underwent some change, suiting to the inflection, the language inflection and the suffix. So, adoptious, subsidation, analyzation, explorationist, insultment, omittance, opulency. So, these are some of the improvisations and the stylizations made by Shakespeare. For example, there are many categorizations which Shakespearean vocabulary can be subjected to. One categorization which I have taken for today's lecture is the contextual words in Shakespeare. For example, the word horrid, which is a derivative of horrible. So, like this example, there are the word types which Shakespeare has employed in his plays amount to 24,842. The word types which had been used by or employed by Shakespeare amount to 24,842. Now, the next topic in today's lecture are Shakespearean histories. So the following are some of the history plays written by Shakespeare. So he has as an Elizabethan dramatist, Shakespeare has dedicated a lot of his dramatic space to write about the lives and achievements of the greatest of the Shakespearean kings. So some of them are as follows: Henry IV Part 1, Henry IV Part 2, Henry V, Edward II, Henry VI, Julius Caesar, and Antony and Cleopatra. Now the next topic is the most famous Shakespearean quotation. So these are some of the oft-quoted Shakespearean lines. So from Act 1, Scene 3, "O thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou cannot then be false to any man." So Hamlet speaks to the ghost. And the second act, second scene, the most famous quoted line is, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." A philosophical observation by Hamlet. And then from Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5. "Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is here no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." So, these lines spoken by Macbeth has been an inspiration for so many literary works, and it has been framed into a title of novels, and it is oft quoted and oft like mentioned for, it has been oft mentioned in the academia. Now the next topic is women in Shakespeare's plays. So some of daring and bold women who can be found in Shakespeare's plays are as follows: Viola in Twelfth Night, and Desdemona in the play Othello, and Cleopatra in the play Antony and Cleopatra, and then Elizabeth, then Lady Macbeth in the play Macbeth, and Juliet in the play Romeo and Juliet. So Shakespeare's presentation, or Shakespeare's plays in which Shakespeare's women are found, the roles that they take in the action of the play have been carefully done, not only in line with the Elizabethan times, the Elizabethan to align with the thought of the Elizabethan women, but also to suit the popular audience. And the presentation of women in Shakespeare's plays are also acclaimed, critically acclaimed to be universal. And another topic which can be, which I am mentioning in today's lecture, are the internationalism in Shakespearean plays. For example, the theme of adventure, travel, and references about the global places in the Shakespearean plays, they come in support for the international perspective, the global view of Shakespeare. And the next topic is colonialism and post-colonialism. So, colonial references in Shakespeare's plays and post-colonial references. So, like when it comes to The Tempest, in which Caliban becomes a colonial, whereas later he gets rescued. And in the play Tempest, one can find the trends of colonialism and post-colonialism, for example. Thank you for visiting. For more modules, visit www.sfrmlearning.org. Thank you.